Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the second part of my discussion with Travis about DC's Young Animal imprint. This episode, we will be discussing Shade the Changing Girl and Mother Panic. So let's get right to it. Okay, we are back to talk about the Young Animal imprint books, and we are going to be talking about Shade the Changing Girl next.
Yeah.
So Shade the Changing Girl, Travis, is by Cecil Castellucci, Marley Zarcone, I think it's Zarcone, Kelly Fitzpatrick, and Saida Temafante. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any of those names. So Shade the Changing Girl is about an alien that takes over the body of a 16-year-old bully and must face the challenges of being a stranger in a foreign land, plus the consequences of a life she did not live. Star Wars' moving target writer Cecil Castellucci and artist Marley Zarcone explore themes of madness, alienation, and the bizarre in this sci-fi thriller with gorgeous covers by Becky Cloonan. And I'm editorializing there just a little bit. I love that Becky Cloonan is doing these covers. That just the first and the third issue covers I love. And the second one's fine. Although what the heck's up with the hippo?
Why not?
That's
exactly why she put it in there. Why not?
I was gonna bring it up, but
okay.
Why not? I'm not big with the why not thing, Travis. But
okay.
that first cover of Shade's face, I just think that's gorgeous. All the colors, and I just love it. It kind of reminds me of Saga's artist blanking name. Travis, help.
Fiona Staples.
Fiona Staples, in a way, just because of the ink lines to define the features. You know, I think that's one of the defining qualities of Fiona Staples' work, and I can see that here too. But just wonderful covers by Becky Cloonan. Okay, so Travis, I will be up front.
Just on a side note about covers, of course they have variant covers for each issue too, and the variants are, a lot of cases, excellent too. And some of them are paying homage to original covers of the original.
Oh, really?
Well, not original, of the second run, I guess. The second run, technically, the Vertigo run
with Peter Milligan and who's? I'll look that up. Talk more about this. Chris Pacello.
But yes,
yeah,
but they're paying homage to that. I mean, like. You could find the cover like number 50, for instance, and it's Shade setting on this pile of junk and stuff, and there's lions and stuff like that around her. And then you look at like Tula Toy's alternate cover, and it's basically that. I mean, she does her own version of it, but it's that. I mean, some of that stuff is just really cool. But anyway, so.
Okay. I tend to, in general, ignore the variant covers for whatever reason, but
I do, other than it's art. So and in the case of like Shade the Changing Girl, they're getting the variant covers are by artists that I love. Okay. So I'm always paying attention. The latest issue that just came out, the variant cover is by Jolene Joel, and it is
what?
It is gorgeous.
Oh my God! Damn it! Cover. Okay, so. Obviously, I need to pay more attention because I loved her too.
Right.
I would have gotten that issue or gotten that variant if I would have been paying attention. Dang it. Okay. So, speaking of covers, I know we're going on a tangent, but you mentioned that you got the variant covers for the Doom Patrol issues. Did you get all covers for the Doom Patrol issue or just that first issue?
Yes. All
variant covers for all issues for Doom Patrol.
Yep.
You crazy man.
Well, because here's the thing is, I know at some point down the road, because I have a full collection of all the Doom Patrol, right? At some point down the road, it's going to bug me that there's an alternate version out there, and I'll have to hunt them down. And, the reality is there may be 2 or 3 years from now, I can go to some dollar bin someplace and I'm going to be able to find some of them, maybe. Because it's not like they're, the types of variants where you have to, the store has to buy 50 of the copy before they get that variant cover kind of thing. They're just alternate covers. They're not that kind of, they're not an incentive covers.
Right.
So it's not like it's ever going to be a struggle for me to find them that way. It's just going to be because of where, we live out in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be a pain in the ass to go hunt them down. So I just decided, screw it. I'm going to bite the bullet, spend the money, waste the money. So that issue number 1 came out. I bought 7, 8, 9, however many versions there were of that issue. And then there's been a second, I've been an alternate cover, and I've bought them every time. Yeah. I'm that guy.
So you did that for Doom Patrol. Are you doing that with the other young?
Only.
Just.
I would love the other Shade the Changing Girl covers, like I said, because I love Becky Cloonan. Don't get me wrong. Super excited that she's doing the covers, and I'm going to stick with that cover. I don't plan on changing to something else, but I really like the alternate artists that they've been getting for that book in particular. I haven't even paid attention to the alternate covers of the other two books. I just whatever. I don't particularly care that much, but like I said, the artists that they've been getting to do the alternate covers for Shade, make it tempting to go pick up the other ones, but I haven't. Wow. And now, if I happen to be someplace and in the future they are in those dollar bins, I will probably pick up the alternate covers of those things if that is the case. But with Doom Patrol, it's the one thing that I am actively have a collection of it all, and so I'm doing that. But I am not an alternate variant cover person. I don't typically buy into that. But this is the one time I am feeding that ugly machine. So thankfully I have awesome comic book friends out there, and another YouTuber, Read 'em Steven, big Superman fan. He happened to went to New York Comic Con, and so he got me the variant cover that is just the New York version, which is a lot harder to come across because you have to have gone to the con to pick it up. It's a gold foil. The whole background is gold foil, has all the old crew on it. So I even have that variant cover of issue number 1. So pretty stoked.
Dang. Well, I'm going to have to, two things, Travis. I'm have to go look at that Joelle Jones variant cover and see if I can get it after we get done talking here. And 2, apparently I need to get some more friends like you.
Exactly.
To send me stuff.
Besides me, because I'm a cheap bastard and I'm not going to.
Yeah. Okay. So Shade the Changing Girl, which is a change from Shade the Changing Man from the 90s Vertigo title, which I read essentially the first story arc, which was the American Scream story, which you can get, I think you can still get in a trade paperback collection. I think I read a little bit more after that, but I certainly didn't continue with the book. And I know it went for, oh gosh, I just saw this. It went for 70 issues. So it was a 6-year run of that book. So apparently it was quite popular, even though I didn't continue with it. But I did really enjoy that first story, reintroducing Shade the Changing Man in the way that Milligan and Bocello did. What's your experience with Shade the Changing Man?
I collected it when it first came out. Clearly before it was Vertigo was Vertigo, and I collected it up until the point that reality set in, and I had to quit buying comics for a while. And I have since gone back and purchased and read the rest of the run up to 7.
Oh, you read all 70 issues? Wow. Okay.
At some point or another. Now, I've read all that, but you got to remember when that came out, and that's when I've read. Quite honestly, I have not read issue 1 probably since then. I don't think I maybe have read through the first couple arcs a second time in the early 2000s. Kind of like the same with the Doom Patrol. Yeah. So my memory of a lot of that stuff is way sketchier than the Doom Patrol stuff. Okay. So,
well, yeah, like I read that first storyline back then in the 90s, early 90s, and that was 1990, I guess. And I haven't revisited that, even though I've been wanting to.
Yeah.
When they announced Shade the Changing Girl, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember really liking that first story, so I should go back and read that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so but we're here to talk about Shade the Changing Girl. So this is essentially this is a story about the 16-year-old Megan who wakes up from a coma after having drowned in a curious incident. But she wakes up not Megan, but this avian character from it's another dimension, right? Mm-hmm. That's where Rack Shade, the original Shade the Changing Man, comes from. Mm-hmm. And Loma decides she's a fan of Rack Shade, who curiously is a poet, who turned into a poet, or became became a poet.
Yeah. And so is she.
Right. She's an admirer of Rack Shade's. So she ends up acquiring the Madness Vest, which always looks more like a overcoat to me whenever they draw it. But anyway, just in general, not necessarily every time they show it, but they always refer to the Madness Vest. And she ends up going to Earth and inhabiting the body of Megan, and that's why Megan wakes up. But it's Loma. Or as she keeps telling everybody throughout the 3 books that I've read, call her Shade now.
Right. And on top of that, besides being a fan of the original Shade the Changing Man, she is also a fan of Earth sitcoms, especially a particular one, right?
Which one is that?
She is a fan of, I can't remember what the name of it is. It's a like a wholesome family sort of a sitcom that
is it a real sitcom, or is it just a sitcom they made for this?
It's a sitcom that they made for it.
Okay,
because it ends up showing up in like issue 3, right?
Okay, that's what I was.
She ends up talking with a bunch of them in kind of when she's having one of her moments. She's out there out in the desert with the black and white version of them, and it's that typical kind of. I think it's that. Late 50s, early 60s, wholesome, so that's her view of kind of Earth and why she thinks going to Earth will be awesome, because she's feels like she's kind of a loser where she's at, right? She doesn't fit in anything.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be perfect for her to transport herself and take a vessel on Earth, because it's going to be awesome, because it's going to be this whole wholesome sitcom-y kind of thing. Leave It to Beaver kind of a deal.
Yeah.
So
obviously that does not go the way that she expects. Let's see here. So again, we're just going to talk about specific points per issue. One of the things I jumped out at me immediately, Travis, was that the way that Loma inhabits Megan's body reminds me of the original series where Shade Rack inhabits the body of that killer.
Right.
I can't remember that character's name now, but so that had its own issues. So they're reproducing that aspect in a way here in this new series. And then you have all of the I want to say the madness bleed. The madness aspects coming out, and in the art they show it with these kind of what's the name of that artist that does the droopy watch
Salvador
Dali. It reminds me a lot of Dali in a sense, but it's mostly portrayed in these little circles or circular patterns, these blue and black circular patterns. But then there's also other things that come out too. But it's all over the place. In fact, that first scene where Megan wakes up is all these animals are around, these zoo animals, and it seems to be having an effect on some of the people around her. But it's never quite clear if they are seeing what we are seeing. But they are certainly affected by it. So, it has, the madness has an effect on everybody around her. And in fact, Megan's parents, who were ready to pull the plug on Megan.
Right, because Megan was in a coma.
Yeah, get the call. We're not... Oh, it was 5 months, I think it said. So she's been in a coma for 5 months. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they get a call saying, "Please come take her away. Please hurry. She's upsetting the other patients."
Right.
So yeah, I like the aspect of how madness is portrayed in this, especially like in issue 3. We'll get to that, but and it's interesting how some people, it's never clear. Like I said, it's never clear how they're affected. Sometimes it seems like some people can see certain things, but we're never really sure if they're actually seeing what we're seeing. Like I said, what we are seeing. And other times, it's like I said, they're just reacting, and I really like that aspect because madness is not something that is logical and and you can point to it and say it is this thing. I just really like the physical representation of that through the art in this book.
Yeah, the art is top notch. The other thing I think about the art is this is the book that reminds me so much of an old Vertigo book.
Yeah.
I mean, just the color, the art style. I mean, it just to me it gives me warm fuzzies of the memories of those early books that were part of the Vertigo run, and right before it actually got officially called the Vertigo run. It just has those kinds of elements to it that is really, really, really like. Visually it's just very stimulating for me, that way and stuff. I just really, really like it.
Well, you got to, you mentioned the colors and stuff. I think a lot, I know not to take away from, Marley Zarconi's art, pencil art, or the drawing. But Kelly Fitzpatrick's color on here really, for me, sells this book. Without those colors, the way that she's doing this stuff, it would not be as entertaining or as infecting as it is without the colors in this book. The way that the colors are done in this book. So I just have a lot of respect for the artistry with the colors in this book. Mm-hmm. Probably more so than the other books that we've talked about.
Yeah.
And similarly, like we were talking about with Cave Carson and how Oming is just playing on the page. Mm-hmm. There's some of that too in this.
Lots. Yeah.
Maybe not as much, but I'm trying to find if there's something in this first issue that I'm thumbing through.
Yeah, I don't have the first issue in front of me, but it seems to me that there's almost every single issue has some pretty dynamic page layouts in it. There's
a point where Shade is at the dinner table with her parents, and Loma, at the Loma aspect, decides to go somewhere. I don't know where. I'm not sure where she's going, but she seems to go into this otherworldly dimension, or she's, she talks about.
I always figure she's going into the madness itself. Like it's where we all talk about, well, we're in our own heads thinking. She's kind of that way, but there's this other level that she drops into, kind of a thing.
You're right. It does say that explicitly. Mm-hmm. So so she goes into the madness, and it's just the way, I don't know. It just, I love the way that Zarconi has put the stuff on the page and the way it flows. It's just really cool stuff. It doesn't quite conform to a typical, just like Oming, doesn't quite conform to the typical page panel layout type stuff. So I really like that. And then you get to the very, the last couple pages of the story, and we get this flashback scene. Okay, I should preface this by saying that we find out that Megan, like I said, there was a drowning incident, and when she wakes up, we get the reaction of her swim team.
Yeah, her friends, or what would be her peer group. Friends is not the right word, but her peer group.
That was why I was hesitating.
The people that she hangs with.
Yes. Her peer group is a good way to put it, because they're not happy about this.
Oh, yeah.
And we find out why, because she I said it in the description, she's a bully. And for some reason they all put up with her, in the way that they do. And, and they're not all great people either. They're not all pillars of the community.
Oh, by any means.
But, you find out that Megan has some issues, and people are reacting to that. But then, like I said, at the very end, you get this cool scene, this flashback where her swim team is out somewhere at the lake, and you get this panel with like I said, the next to last page, this panel where they're just kind of standing there looking out at the lake. One of them says, "We should get out of there," and you could see the shadows of the characters. There's light behind them from the car, and the shadows bleed into the darkness of the lake, and you see Megan's face bobbing there in the lake. And then you turn the page, and you see her, the profile of her floating in the lake, and the sky's above her. And it says, one of the characters says, "Should we call 911?" And one says, "No, let the bitch drown."
Yeah.
And that was my reaction too. I read that last page. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes. I was like, for me, I was like, I am so in. Yes.
Yeah. Well, if we weren't already, because I was already loving this from basically the get-go.
But yeah, that was I'm just like, holy crap. This Megan was so awful that her boyfriend and, her quote unquote friends, whatever, her peer group would actually, walk off and leave her to drown. Was crazy. I'm just like, oh, this is serious. I mean, wow. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we find out that they kind of helped her along the way. Right. I mean, they gave her the extra drugs and.
Oh, well, but that's just it. She asked for them in the first place.
Right.
And in fact, wanted more of the pills than what they gave her.
Right.
And, they made some comment about what an idiot she is for that. And then we get that reveal, let her drown. That was just like, boy, slap in the face, pay attention to me type situation.
Yeah.
And then issue 2, this is where she goes to school and actually interacts with all these characters. And that has interesting ramifications. But like I said, I mentioned before about the hippo on the cover. That was my first thought when I was rereading this. It's like, why the hippo? But the hippo does show up as a plush toy in Megan's room. Mm-hmm. So then when I noticed that, I was like, okay,
that's all it took for you, huh?
That's all. I'm a pretty simple guy. When it comes to, as long as there's some sort of connection to the narrative, I'm okay.
It's madness, man. It could be anything.
I know. But yeah, Shade is having a hard time with acclimating to being Megan. And that's the thing I really like about these first 3 issues is that it starts off gradually. It's like, okay, I'm in a new body. Okay, this new body has challenges and issues. Just being trapped. However, Loma is trapped inside Megan's body, because Loma's physical form is actually still in meta,
right?
But her essence, I guess, her soul, I don't know, however you want to put it, is in Megan, and she finds it constrictive to be in this little body. But not just the physical aspects, but also Loma senses the hatred from her so-called friends. She senses things swirling around her that she can't quite explain or understand, which I love how they develop that and build it up over those 3 issues.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to school and says, "What fresh hell is this?"
Exactly. That's school in a nutshell, isn't it? Awesome.
There's a point where, what is it? Her boyfriend Wes. I thought it was kind of funny. So you mentioned how her friends just let her die, right, in that flashback scene, and yet here's Wes in the mirror, kibitzing in the mirror because he's nervous about meeting Megan again.
Right.
So he clearly still cares for her, but yet he let her drown.
Right. And is now dating one of the other girls on the Clinton team.
Right, but
the new bully or whatever. I don't know if she's really that, but clearly the mouthpiece of the rest of the group without Megan around.
So Shade comes in and he tries talking to her, and she's like, "Who are you?" and walks off, and he says, "It's Wes, your boyfriend." Oh no, I'm thinking of a different spot. Wes is talking to that other girl and says, I'm Megan's boyfriend, and she says, "You're my boyfriend."
Yes. And that's so many more levels now, though. I mean, that's the thing is like, okay, even without the whole them being responsible, letting her potentially die, that's just all kinds of, I mean, anybody who's been through high school, that's all kinds of icky stuff, when somebody's dated somebody else and now suddenly they're dating somebody else. On a normal school day, that's kind of an icky kind of thing to have to navigate. And to have to navigate it at the level that these people are navigating at is just nuts.
Well, on top of it, who Shade is, who Megan really is now.
Right.
So that's just.
Yeah.
There's a couple great, me being the literature guy, getting my degree in English, and I had to read a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's some great literary references in this issue. There's Megan, like I said, Megan's at school, and everybody. It's not just those core group of friends.
Sure.
That are reacting. Other people are reacting because she's known throughout this school. Right. And there's one character there who's literally sweating as he's standing there looking at Megan, and looks like he's holding a book, and it's supposed to be well, I don't know if that's part of the book now that I'm looking at it, because it looks like the text is kind of floating off the cover. It says, tell a tale, tell. Those are the words on the page, but there's a heart on the cover of this book, and so I immediately thought of a telltale heart.
Right.
And then there's also a reference, like I said, Shade's in school and she has to put up with it. She makes the comment about, why does Earth teach such elementary math to its young? Are they all stupid?
Right.
But she says, the yellow wallpaper. Now this class has some promise, and so it's and there's even an editor's footnote to explain the yellow wallpaper.
Yes.
Come on. Yeah. Which is a great story by, as it says here, Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It's one of the best short stories I think has ever been written in the English language. So y'all should read it.
Go read a book.
So I love that kind of stuff when they throw that in there. Let's see what else is good about this issue. The library scene. So she goes to the library, which is Teacup's refuge.
Away from her, Megan. Yeah.
She goes up to Megan and says, "No, you never came here. This was my sanctuary." And you could just tell. I mean, what did Megan do to Teacup? I mean, there is a scene. I don't remember which issue it is. Maybe it was issue 1. I can't find it right now.
Where she damn near drowns her. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically Megan's like, if I say go right, you go right. If I say drown, what do you do? And Teacup says, I drown. Mm-hmm. So I get the bully aspect of it, but there just must be so much more to this bullying that Megan has done, especially to Teacup. And I say that because in the 3rd issue, I think there's some stuff that I'll mention that really drives that home. But in the library, she meets this other character, River, who lives nearby Megan, I guess, too.
Neighbor, literally
right.
The neighbor.
Okay, that's what that I wasn't sure about that. And so the other girls from the swim team come in, and I this is one of those things, Travis. I don't like about the construction of the scene, because if you look at it, the girls come in, River's sitting at this table, and there's nothing covering the table, so you can literally see under the table. So you could see his legs under the table. Well, guess who's hiding there right beside River under the table? It's Teacup. And yet the girls say, or the girls don't see her? Because they ask, River, have you seen her? And he says, Teacup must be eating somewhere else today. I don't know. That's just a minor complaint about the construction of the scene, because there's no way they couldn't have seen her in this. But Teacup's hiding. So is Shade, which I found curious. Why is Shade hiding at this point?
Well, they comment the fact that she can sense that she's had connections with these people.
Right.
And she does not want those connections. I mean, because it's not a comfortable feeling. And I think that's why, I think she's overwhelmed. That's why she ended up being there in the first place, doesn't she?
Well, but she says when she first meets up with Teacup in the library, she says, I know you. I felt close to her, like we'd been through something together. We're friends. And that's when Teacup says, you never come here. So Shade continues, we were connected. I wanted to reach out and touch her. Of everyone here I didn't know, I felt I knew her best. And then we get a scene on Meta, which we haven't talked about those. But then we go back to the library, and that's when they're hiding. There's no explanation of, or there's no scene of her being overwhelmed or anything.
Well, maybe she's hiding with Teacup because that's who her attachment is to at that point. I don't have the book.
That could be. That could be. I just again, the construction of this particular scene is problematic for me. Not to the point, even though I'm making a big deal about it here, not to the point where I felt it was hurting the story or hurting the particular narrative that we're in at the moment. But I just felt it was interesting. However, again, so like I said, Shade's hiding. Everyone hides from the truth, but a heart never does. It points right to it. And then the next page is the splash page of the three girls who came in. And the madness is going on around them. You got Moby Dick in the background. You got the Cheshire Cat in the foreground. The Cyclops on one side. A reference to Shakespeare, I guess. Poor York, alas, I knew him well, or something. Whatever that line is. But one of the girls says, shit, I just remembered something. I got to bail. The other one says, what the fuck? And then finally says, the third girl says, these books are spooky.
Right. Right.
So again, I don't, visually it's a treat, but I don't know. They seem to be reacting to a feeling or a sense, but not actually seeing what we're seeing, right? And they run away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and River even says, you can both come out now. Something ran them off. So he didn't see it either. But in other scenes, he does seem to react to the manifestation of the madness. So I just found that interesting. Oh, I think you're right, Travis. She does at this point now say, this is bad on me for not being a good reader. She says, I just need a place where there isn't so much human clutter, a place to pause. So that explains why she came to the library, and maybe that's why she also kind of stepped back from the girls so that she wasn't, like you said, she wasn't being overwhelmed by the feelings or sort of memories that she's having about the girls. Oh yeah, this is the scene that I mentioned before about Megan telling Teacup, "Oh, remember Teacup, your life is always in my hands." So we get that scene of the bullying that goes on in there. Yeah, here we go. This is River. Yeah, so this is that scene that I just described happened when Shade touched Teacup, and then we go back to the library. Teacup runs out, and River says, "I'd heard you were all about the drama, but do you mind having it somewhere else?" And he's holding up a book that's dripping in madness, and the way he's holding it up seems to suggest that he sees this drippy thing on the book, right? So I just found that was funny. Anyway, she's drawn to River because she has no history with this guy, and that makes it easier for her. And then there's this little, just a few panel scene this thing, it's in pink, this pink dialogue box or word balloon thing. I'm awake, but where am I? Where do I go? So much to see. And it looks kind of like Megan, but it's not. This otherworldly creature, and that comes in the next issue,
right?
I believe it's not. Yeah, it comes in really in the next issue. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, yes, and then the issue ends with her picking up this TV that's on the trash can, taking it home, and that's where she's watching
the sitcom, right?
The sitcom, yeah. And I think it's called Honey because one of the characters refers to the female character on the show as Honey, and in the issue 1, was it issue 1 or is it issue 3? I can't remember now. Where you talked about how she was talking to them. Issue
3, she's setting out in the desert having a conversation.
Yeah, okay, issue 3, and
Life with Honey.
Okay,
mid 20th century Earth television show, Life with Honey.
Is that where are you seeing that, Travis?
I have the ash can little who's who thing.
Okay.
So I decided that because I knew I read it somewhere, but yeah.
Now that you said that, I remember reading that too.
Honey who goes to live in Los Alamos, New Mexico, with her nuclear scientist husband. Yeah.
That sounds like a good 60s sitcom.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, this is where so like I said, she's watching this. I have to study up, do my homework to really live this life as she's watching the sitcom. As if that's going to help her to find out if there is sweetness in this hell. And this is what I was referring to before, Travis, where she has what kind of hell did she put Teacup through? Because Megan has in this little box on this bookshelf looking thing. So she's got New Year's, Sadie Hawkins, Homecoming. I presume those are pictures at first, but then there's this one box that's simply labeled Teacup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy crap!
Yeah,
what did she do?
I think we'll find out over time. Just at the level of,
but just those little hints. If you and if you're not paying attention to the stuff that's in the background in these panels, you're missing out on some of this really cool background type stuff.
Right. That's informative to the story, for sure. Exactly. Yeah.
There. One more thing about that issue. In my notes, I have the existentialism is interesting. There's a quote here: "Find out why this heart that beats in me is dark and cruel. Is it something you can fix?" So yeah, that I'm just digging this this examination of this character and the situation that she's in.
Yeah.
And then in issue 3, so Megan has forgotten. Well, Shade has forgotten how to swim, and so which is good with her teammates because they don't want her there. But for some reason she continues to try to do it, and ends up taking Wes on his offer to help her learn to swim again.
Well, even Teacup helps bail her out.
Well, I was going to mention that. Yeah, go ahead.
From drowning. So clearly, I don't know what's that called, where you're held by your captors long enough that you become to sympathize with them. I don't know if that's where Teacup's at in her life or whatever. But yeah, I mean the whole, she gets out there in the water and starts drowning and whatnot, and Teacup is the one that actually swims out and helps drag her back to the edge to help her out. So it's really curious, right? You'd think she'd be like the first person. And I don't believe, and Teacup wasn't with them out partying at the lake. So
no, she was. She was.
Was she?
Yeah. That
because it was the whole swim team. Okay.
Yeah, that last page, because there's a close up of her face. Wes is holding her, like she had run away from something bad, and she was standing there looking. The look on her face. If you go look at that, Travis, the look on her face is. I'm gonna look at it too, just to make sure I can describe it sufficiently. It's this curious look. No, it's I was editorializing. There is just pure anger there.
Mm-hmm.
She is staring at Megan floating in the water, and she's just got this look of just hatred.
Well, what's curious is later on in issue 3, she actually questions herself. Why the hell she? What is Megan's new reign of hell going to be on her, and why did she save her?
Yeah. Why did I save you? She says, but then she says, "Who is Shade?"
Mm-hmm.
And you could easily just write off that she helped, because that scene where Shade jumps in the water and she can't swim and she's about to drown again, the other girls are laughing.
Right.
And the coach is standing right there.
Yeah.
The other girls are laughing, and you see Teacups. She's got a concerned look on her face, or fear or something, and then helps her out. And the coach. So this is, I really hate. This is like the Disneyfication of adults.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you had to endure this.
Oh, yes.
But I've had to watch a fair amount of Disney comedies over the years on the Disney Channel, and I utterly abhor the way adults are portrayed on those shows. Mm-hmm. We are so stupid and inept. Mm-hmm. And not that we aren't all the, but not all the time in every situation.
Adults were pretty stupid when I was a kid too. So,
well, yeah, I know. But anyway, but the coach here is just totally oblivious to the fact that these girls are laughing at this near catastrophe.
Or she doesn't care.
She doesn't care. You're right. Yeah, she doesn't care, and that's even worse.
It's the typical coach. It's all about the sport, not about the person. So,
yeah.
With the eyeballs floating around. Because there's always a leak. There's always a leak of the madness.
Yeah.
So,
and then after that pool scene, we get that what do you want to call that? That spirit that I talked about from the previous issue.
Yeah.
And this great 2-page spread of this, like I said, she kind of looks like Shade, looks like Megan, but not really. And it's talking about cold ice, weak heat, more, and to begin out there. I'm coming for you. I'm coming at you more. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. How did you? I take this. This is like an aspect of madness, or something closely related to what madness is in this book.
Yeah, I think so. But that's definitely the biggest unknown element in the book. Is what is that exactly about? Yeah. We haven't addressed that for sure.
And then after that, a few pages after that, Shade says she has to meditate my way out of this mess, and there's a scene with her parents, and so she goes to meditate,
right,
and admits to herself and us that she was never the best at it, but she does it. And this is where we get a lot of flashes of memory from Megan about how she's treated people, the things she said to them.
Right.
And she seems very manic. She goes from being very angry and bullying to crying, saying, "Why do you hate me so much?" And then this great scene where Loma crawls into Megan's mouth. Right. And then another 2-page spread
to explore more of the memories. Right?
and you get this great flow again. The meandering flow of the character through these memories across the pages. It's almost like a serpentine-like movement on the page, and you get to see that her mother called her stupid, and she took Megan took one of her friend's toy bears that her grandmother gave her, but she has this almost loving relation. I assume a loving relationship with Wes, but then she's bullying Teacup in the pool. And, it's just, a person is not one thing and not one label. Even bad, quote unquote bad people are not the sum of the bad thing they're known for. Right. So I really like that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you said, it's well explored there because you're getting all that stuff. You're not just getting her being a holy terror. You're getting her having these, very nurturing moments with like not the first one with Wes so much, but the second one where, he's like pointing out Mars and she's like, you're going to get there someday.
Yeah.
Just being extremely supportive, whereas you would think if she was just the consummate bully, she'd be rolling her eyes and going, good grief, But, yeah.
And then she ends up running into River again and convinces him to help her understand why everyone hates her.
Right.
And there is this Facebook-like page called Megan Boyer, Toxic Human.
Right.
And there's all these comments from people.
Well, what's funny about all those comments? Those are all the creators of the book and the editors.
Yeah.
The names of all those people, they're either editors on the book or it's, Gerard, for instance. They're all Becky, the cover artist. It's just funny. I mean, and the stuff that she has them, that the reasons that they're listing, share and expose the monster. I mean, Megan dared me to take a cup of water from the toilet she left a turd in.
Oh my God.
Just, she's a horrible person, right?
and immediately she meditates again. She can't. So we're at the point now where Loma is really having a difficult time.
Right. Freaking out over the person that she's in is this diabolical. Yeah.
Yeah.
She does the whole meta thing right there while River's there. And of course, as soon as she starts to do that, the madness then starts to go crazy, bleed. Yeah. She has the conversation with Honey out in the desert, drinks some cocktails with her, I think, before the dog and River brings her back to reality. Mm-hmm. And he literally grabs the madness. He literally has a handful of it and goes, "What is this?"
Yes, and so that I think that's.
I love her response.
It's your room. She doesn't want to admit to what it is. It's like, it's your room, don't you know? Ew. No. See, I took it as she's oblivious to the fact that this. I mean, to her, that's just reality. It's not something different. It's that it is what it is, and so therefore, it's your room. Of course, it's your room.
Right, it's your room, but then she says, you don't know how they'll react to the truth.
Oh, that's true. Well,
so that's the part that throws me off of it.
But you have to take that panel or that bit of dialogue with or that caption with what came before that, which is new friends are hard to make. You have to show them your secrets. It's not easy to show a person the real you. You don't know how they'll react to the truth. But
sure.
No, that's an excellent comparison to what's being said as to what is going on in her head. And it works on many levels is my point. So I mean, your interpretation is right on too. Yeah, but I love that. What is this stuff? It's your room, dummy.
Right. Well, that whole conversation there is like, River saying basically, I know you're different now, not because of your coma. This isn't how you make friends. And she's like, you're mistaken, River. I mean,
yeah.
Well, and then he's like, what are you? Transhuman, clone, cyborg, alien? I'm a human girl. I've always been a human girl. And she stomps off with her dog.
So,
you lie, and you hope they believe you.
Yes, the internal dialogue. I love it. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about any of the meta stuff, so I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But there's not much to really say about it. But like I said, Megan had agreed or Shade had agreed to let Wes help her with swimming again. And she says, you think we're something to each other, but we're not. And then I love again, the art here, what they do here, because she goes underwater and we see part of his body underwater, but his head's above water. And so it's kind of weird looking, like as if you were looking through water. Mm-hmm. And what, he's talking at the same time, but the word balloon is kind of wavy and weird because it would sound different underwater. I those little touches. I love when comic book creators do that kind of stuff. And she says, the body remembers you. We were something to each other, but now we're not, but the body remembers you. And he says to himself, you will too one day. I want to make this work. So he's still clearly in love with this girl. And then his current girlfriend shows up. Get out of the pool.
Well, there's just a ton of stuff going on in that. I mean, basically, she tells him, look, this isn't, we're, with the boyfriend, we're nothing now, kind of thing, basically. You think we're something, but we're nothing. You get that little panel of River headed towards the pool, and he's saying, Shade, you're in need of a friend. Let me be that friend. Right. The next little panel is Teacup basically saying, you have no, Megan, you have no power over me. You may seem different. You're not, just all this different stuff that's coming to a header as we're, coming up to the next page. Of course, the pissed off new girlfriend who's the team captain, basically telling Megan to get the hell out of the pool because this is not happening. Kind of a thing. Them saying you should have gone to a different school, all that tense stuff. And they all end up, that next scene where everybody's standing at the pool edge.
Yes.
And things get really crazy.
Shade hulks out.
Right. Basically.
Yeah. So she gives into the anger, and the anger informs the madness, and the madness comes out with a vengeance. And it almost seems like two things. One, it is controlling Megan, and she's allowing it. Mm-hmm. She gives into it. She says it's intoxicating. I want more. I give myself over to it. I go mad. Mm-hmm. And you get all these, the hands, these giant, colorful hands reaching out, moving people around.
Right.
She actually reaches into the girls.
Into her forehead.
Do we know these girls' names?
Maybe.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I've read it twice now, and I can't remember if they actually said who everybody was. Anyway, but yeah, she reaches into the girl's head. Everybody's screaming. And then the coach shows up and puts a stop to it.
Right. Fight.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody's just freaking out. And then that's when we go back to that otherworldly girl madness thing. And it shows up. What is that, Travis, on that page? It's like an explosion, like she's floating through this explosion. What is that thing that's behind her that's exploding?
I don't know for sure.
It looks like a ship or something, right?
Yeah. It's not the box that Loma's physical body's in, right?
No. But the dialogue here is: everywhere there is hunger, whispering alien winds, stars being born and dying, planets ravaged by elements, being slaughtered from war. And maybe I thought that's why I thought
the last box is the one that counts, though.
Yeah.
The madness it calls.
Yeah. Yes. Something calls to me, the madness it calls. So, okay. So that is not a manifestation of madness. It's something else.
Right.
It's something related to the madness.
Right. That's attracted to the madness.
Yeah. So what the heck? Ooh, is this Megan? Is this actually Megan?
Megan's soul?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, she has the long hair and whatnot. Yeah, that would be interesting, huh? Because where is her conscience at? Depending on how you want to look at, what happens when you're in a coma and whatnot.
Yeah.
Where is she at? Where is Megan? That's a whole interesting thing if that's the case too.
Yes.
I love this book. This book, God. As much as I am a huge Doom Patrol fan, I just, will read Doom Patrol to the ends, basically. For me, by far, this is the best book of the Young Animals stuff.
Yes. I was going to say the exact same thing.
It is. To use the word again, it's smart, but it's smart in a whole different way. Just the emotional pull and roller coaster we're going to go on with this, the exploration of what all that means. Like I said, to be a 16-year-old, a normal 16-year-old just dealing with all that kind of aspect gets put in this book. And then, of course, it's amped to this other level because of the whole the fact that she died, her friends are the ones that are, not died, but went into a coma, her friends that are drowned, all that. The very Twin Peaks aspect to it. If you want to go back to really old school storytelling, it's that kind of, it has some elements of that. And, and then you have, of course, this, alien who's now in, our main character, Loma, who's in this body trying to respond to the world. One, being a fan of a silly mid-century TV show, thinking that's how Earth's going to be, and that's why she came to Earth, because it's going to be a good time. Escaping her own pretty pathetic life. That's something we didn't talk about, of the whole meta, right. where she's from. She's basically a loser. She basically does this giant laundry list of trying to go to school, trying to do this, trying to do that, and has been unsuccessful in any of it. And she's about to fail at what she's doing now. That's why she cons her her boyfriend, who maybe she doesn't even really care. Maybe potentially she doesn't even give a shit about the boyfriend. The boyfriend is just a security guard who's guarding the MetaVest, and she's all about the MetaVest and her kind of fandom over Rock, Shade, the original, Shade the Changing Man, to get to where she's at now, thinking this is going to be a better life. And here she lands. And it is more effed up than what she was dealing with in her own world, potentially. So,
I would say potentially.
So I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool, really well written, smart. Just the tug and pull of the Megan feelings and her feelings, and visually on the page, it's just really, really, really good stuff.
It is the complete package. Like Cave is, it hits some of the notes, but some of the other notes are not quite there. I feel that way a tiny bit about Doom Patrol, but this one it brought it. I mean, I think out of all of them, and I know it's not fair because we haven't talked about Mother Panic yet, but out of all of them, I think this book lives up to Gerard Way's promise of, following the spirit. What do you say? Mm-hmm. Following the spirit of those books from the past, but bring them bring them somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love this book. If I had to pick one, and only one of these four to continue with, this would be the one I'd pick.
It wouldn't be for me. I'd give it Eric.
The look on Travis's face, because we're doing this through Skype video, and when I said that, the look on Travis's face was just awesome.
Well, that's because of like I said, the pure collector end of it for the Doom Patrol stuff. Yeah. I love that book too. That. But yes, as far as storytelling, the craftsmanship that's involved, sequential art, everything that comics can do is in the Shade of Changing. It is. Yeah. It's all there. Yeah. It's all there. So you go ahead. This is one of those books that has stories in the back.
Yeah.
Issue 3 in particular, I absolutely loved. It's a hero for hire.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back in. I want to end on that because oh my god.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you had mentioned Loma's boyfriend, the security guard. So this is on Meta, and so we talked all about the stuff that's happened with Megan on Earth and Loma and how she's reacting. But there's this other plot, this B plot that's going on where the people who are in charge of the museum where the Madness Vest was kept, they're looking for it, and so they start tailing Loma's boyfriend to try and figure out what happened to it. I mean, that's essentially what happens in that B plot. There's not much to it. In fact, I kind of, if I have to level any complaint against this book, it's maybe that we spend too much time on meta with the stuff that we're given, because I don't think it doesn't really do much for the story or the main character. But it's obviously working towards something.
Right, as I say, it's set up for something that's coming.
Yeah,
clearly later on.
And I think in issue 3, Loma's boyfriend, I can't remember his name, Lepek, I think, something like that. He decides to show one of his bandmates, because he's in a band.
Right.
One of his bandmates that he has Loma's body in that box. Yeah. I guess it's more than one. I guess it's his bandmates he shows.
Well, he shows one, and then they get the other guy. Okay. I mean, these guys are like other than he's a security guard at the museum, these guys are like the stereotypical, stoner dude bros. One guy sees the problem. It's like, hey, dude, my girlfriend's locked in a box with the Madness Vest. Can you help me out? And then that guy's like, hey, I've got a friend. He's got some awesome tools. Let's call him up and see if he can help. And then at the next panels, the three of them there sitting there wasted, going, man, I don't know how we're going to get into this box. I mean, that's really what it is, kind of a thing.
That's true. So, okay, let's talk about the backups. So issue 1 has this weird kind of jokey thing. I mean, it's not kind of. So this is it's called Krill's Big Surprise, and it is. Hold on, I gotta look at my notes here.
I don't have the issue in front of me, and quite frankly, I can't even remember what it is. So.
Okay, so this involves a character from the Space Ranger strip.
Okay.
From the 60s, I believe. And Krill was, oh, I got the wrong page. Yep, here we go. I looked it up. I guess I didn't write it down. Apparently Krill was a kind of a alien sidekick character to the Space Ranger. And it's Krill being asked to deliver a message to another character called Gooby, and it's 1, 2, 3 pages of people going or Krill asking people where to find Gooby, and it's ask him. That guy knows. Ask her. Ask him. And finally he meets up with Gooby and gives Gooby the message from Space Ranger, and Gooby says, Space Ranger and I go way back. Oh, it says here that, huh? And then this giant fist comes out of the letter from Space Ranger and knocks Gooby into orbit.
That's right.
Apparently it was a criminal. And Krill calls Space Ranger and says, he landed right in the jailhouse. And Space Ranger says, I couldn't do it without you, Krill. The end. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
What is this? It was just too much of a joke and not a very good one for me. But this is done by Natalia and Gilbert Hernandez.
Right. Well, the Hernandez brothers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Love and Rockets for people who don't know. I mean,
Sure, but I was like, okay, that's interesting, but not really.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, enough on that one. Now, issue 2 has, and this was also kind of a bizarre thing. It's again a 3-page little thing called All We Are, and Travis, I had to read this thing like 4 or 5 times before I understood what was going on, which is, I think, not a very good testament to the way that it was done on the page. Mostly, I couldn't figure out who was doing what, because the 2 characters that are the focus of this backup are both shape changers. Mm-hmm. One can change shape into any animal, and the other one can change shape into any bird. And these are actually Legion of Superhero related characters. One is from the Heroes of Lalor. Which one is that? Do I have that written down here? Yeah, Beast Boy. The original Beast Boy, before the Beast Boy that we know from the Titans. And Orintho, who was part of the Wanderers, if you remember that group. And they go to this planet searching for this creature, Il-Shu-Nor. No, wait, I'm sorry. Il-Shu-Nor is Orintho. Never mind. This creature that they're pursuing, and they have this philosophical discussion about, basically they spell it out for us. I wish more beings understood and embraced change, accepted each society's constructs for what they are. And which is curious, because they're all about change. They change shape. And I just found it really, other than the fact that we have some Legion of Superheroes characters here that we haven't seen in probably decades, literally decades in the books. I don't know. I just found it too on the nose, too hitting us on the head with the whole point.
The social commentary, right?
Yeah.
Now that you've mentioned that, I remember that, and I remember reading that and going, well, that was. I'm all for that kind of commentary.
Oh, sure.
But it should not be delivered like, spoon-fed sledgehammer kind of a thing. And that's what that entire thing felt to me. It was just like,
yes.
Whatever. I mean, I'm not a simpleton. Simpletons aren't reading this book. Why did you deliver a simpleton?
Well,
how I felt about it.
They only had 3 pages, so I guess they had to get. Anyway, I had that problem with that, and then they're combating this creature who doesn't want. Literally is the embodiment of I don't like change.
Right,
and
exactly.
They attack. Well, no, they don't attack. They destroy the creature.
Right.
That was interesting. That was probably the only interesting thing about this, was that they talk about people people, quote unquote,
Right,
whatever,
right.
creatures should have more respect for differences, right? That's basically.
See, now you're thinking about it too hard. You're thinking about it too hard.
But they then
Yes.
destroy the opposition.
Right.
How are
They
they
are
any different?
Like they're so prejudiced in themselves that yeah.
So I found that aspect interesting. But then it ends on this weird joke because they're talking about how people react to them. And anyway, basically it says, the guy says, have you ever fallen in love? And Orintho, the bird guy, says, no, but I have repopulated a species. And then you get this spit take, essentially reaction of,
Right.
wait, what? And then it ends.
Right.
I'm assuming that's some sort of throwback to something that happened in the Wanderers comic that we got in the 80s.
I have no idea.
But I never read it, so I don't know. It's weird. It was weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the really cool part.
Oh, jeez. Yes.
So
issue 3.
Issue 3 has this 3-page backup story called Dial H for Hero in Hero or Error. Okay, and I want to say, let me list the collaborators here. It's written by Teeny Howard, illustrated by Sanya Anwar, letters by Saida Temofonte. Oh my God, Travis!
Yes, 3 pages of brilliance. Right?
Thank you. That exactly. I don't. I want to tell people what it's like, but I also don't, because people need to go read this and just experience it, because it is. I'm saying this right now. This is my favorite short story in comics of 2016.
Nice. Yeah.
It is. How do you describe this? So there's this girl in here who appears to be working in a sort of like planet
Hollywood.
Planet Krypton from Kingdom Come, right? Because it's superhero themed. It's Taco Tuesday,
Right.
which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
And if anybody, if you're not familiar with the Dial H for Hero concept, it's this actual physical dial with letters on it, and the characters would dial HERO to become a hero, a superhero character. And every time they dialed it, they became a different hero character. That was the concept of that strip.
A side note: it was a Mighty Greatest Adventures.
Oh, really?
Use that. I don't know if it's the first place it was at, but it went years.
Yeah.
Dial H, before it then peeled off and became Doom Patrol and stuff like that.
So here's this character who, she appears to be very bored at her job at this restaurant, and every panel has somewhere on it these characters as if they're characters from the dial, but they are explaining the mood or some aspect that we're supposed to focus on.
Yeah, they're kind of the narrative text, the narration box that you get.
Yeah, there you go. That's a better way to put it. Thank you.
Except smarter.
Yes. And so it goes, basically the plot is this girl who's working there sees this other girl, and apparently this other girl is breaking up with her boyfriend. The boyfriend is a jerk and
gets physical.
So she looks around and sees the hero dials HERO, becomes the superhero, attacks the guy, throws him out the window. The other girl that she saved kisses her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, Travis, do I really want to say what happens next? Should we not do that? I don't know.
No, we don't want to.
Okay,
we don't want
something happens that is just.
Yeah.
It's okay. I will say this: the dial caption box multiple times here in a couple panels spells out horror, HORROR. And then it becomes error, error, and it just devolves from that, and it's so heartbreaking. This 3-page story had so much emotion in it, and pathos. It's so good. I wish I could just I wish I could show it to people on the podcast.
Right?
Because it's so good. But I don't want to also take away from rewarding the creators by giving this free to people. Go buy issue 3 of Shade the Changing Girl. I swear to God, just for those 3 pages.
Yep. $1.25 a page, it's worth it. If you break it down to not reading the Shade comic, you just read it, right?
It is worth it.
Read those 3 pages.
It's totally worth it. As if Shade the Changing Girl, the comic, couldn't get any better, you have that backup. I don't know how else I can say how good that was. I got so much out of 3 pages. I don't think I've ever gotten so much out of 3 pages of a comic book before.
Yeah. I'd be challenged to think of what it was. At least anything in recent memory, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm so pleased that you like that as much as I did, Travis.
Oh yeah. Oh well, when I read this issue at the house, of course, the rest of my house are comic readers of sorts. Some of them read comic books all the time. Some of them read trades or lapsed readers. They all enjoy comics anyway. I ran the house with this. You got to read this. Not the whole comic, these 3 pages. You got to read this. You got to read this. So yes. Yeah. And they don't know how tempting it was for me to be one of those horrible people and take screens of those 3 pages and post it all over Twitter, because it was really, really good.
Well, speaking of that, 2 things. I'm going to go take this to my wife, who is not a comic book reader, bone aside, Jeff Smith's bone aside. And I'm going to have her read this and get her reaction. I should have done that before so I could tell you what it was. But and 2, I'm going to go find all those collaborators on Twitter or wherever else I can and just say thank you so much for this, because it was goddamn wonderful.
Yeah, really, really good.
Okay, whew. I don't know how we can go from that to talking about this last book. That's not to say that this last book is not good. It's Mother Panic. Because I'll just start off with this, Travis. Not having read it, but knowing what we were told about it, I figured this would be the weakest book of the bunch.
Same here. Oh, we're gonna tie into Gotham, the Bat family.
Do we really need another Bat book? Come on.
It's like all the things. Like, wow. Okay, so. Cheers, it's another new female character, but we've got a dozen of female Bat characters at the time who really aren't being used very well. So why aren't we concentrating on one of those characters? If we need to, trust me, I was the same with you. I was like, this is the last one that came out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is gonna be. I've been enjoying all the other books. This is gonna be the turkey. There has to be one, right? This is gonna be it.
Yeah, I think people can guess. We think differently now, don't we?
Yeah.
So Mother Panic. This is by Jody Hauser, Tommy Lee Edwards, and John Workman. So meet Violet Page, a celebrity heiress by day and brutal vigilante by night, as she takes on the underbelly of Gotham City's high society. This series. I wanted to include this because it says this series is written by Gerard Way and Jody Hauser with art by Tommy Lee Edwards. Well, there is no Gerard Way in the credits, so this is the one that I was thinking of.
He's credited for creating it,
yes,
but he does not write.
Yeah, Mother Panic created by Gerard Way and the other 2. So okay, Mother Panic.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I didn't think that I would like this book all that much. And I read the first issue and I'm like, I don't like this book that much. But then I read the second issue and then I reread both issues 1 and 2 for this talk. And I like it.
Now, see, I liked it almost immediately. And this is one of the first reasons why. Of course, all that setup you just talked about. Oh, look, it's a female version of Batman. right? Or whatever, kind of. I mean, she's a dilettante by day and, whatever by night. But no, I liked it from the very beginning. And the reason I liked it from the very beginning is to get this scene of the, airplane flying in, it's gold and white, so it makes it look all rich and fancy on top of that and everything, right? And you get that first at Gotham City. And I'm like, oh, here it comes. We're going to get the, it doesn't matter how bad Gotham is. It's all going to be romantic. It's going to be this gothic romantic. Oh, it's all this stuff, but I love Gotham, blah, blah. Because every effing Bat book there is, they always do that. It doesn't matter how bad Joker has rampaged and curdled everyone's brain. Oh, I love Gotham. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. This girl is like, Gotham is shit.
Yeah.
Everything about Gotham stinks. It physically smells. It looks ugly. She just goes off. And I am like, yes, finally we get somebody who goes, this place is the armpit of the world. Why are people here? And you're thinking, why is she going there? And you find out. We get to find out why she's here. She's got a personal vendetta that she is out to take care of. And that's why she's in Gotham. But clearly she doesn't want to be there. Yeah. And I love that. That immediately sunk me into going, oh, I like this girl's take just because it's not the, because how often do we get, it doesn't matter what Bat family figure it is, standing on a gargoyle someplace, romanticizing across the cityscape. Not this girl. This sucks. and I love that. That right there alone was enough for me to go, yes. So
wow, I knew you'd like the book because I saw your tweet the other day about how this is this your favorite Bat book,
it's
right?
My favorite Bat book right now. Yeah.
Although, I mean, technically, can we call it a Bat book? I know, it's in Gotham and Batman is in it.
I mean, we see because it's in Gotham, they drop a panel in here or there that's got some of the other Bat family in it. No, it's not a Bat book, but
it is a Bat book.
Everyone's going to bill it that way because it's in Gotham. There's a ton of books I don't consider Bat books that are people consider. Second you touch Gotham, it's a Bat book, I guess. Yeah. So that's why I was making.
Oh, sure.
The statement. Plus the fact I was also subtweet trolling some of my other Twitter friends because they don't like the book. They don't like the book.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. There's. I love how Violet is just so in the face of society and the expectations put on her because she's this celebrity Gothamite or former Gothamite or whatever. She's flipping off the people in the crowd as she gets off the plane. But she also smiles for these girls that are taking a selfie with her walking behind them, and that freaks them out, in a positive way. She's a layered character. In 2 pages, you get this. Right. I really liked that. I mean, it's very superficial layers at this point, but you get a sense of this character within 2 pages of this comic. And then you get to the 3rd page and you realize, oh my God. Right. This girl, well, okay. There's 2 things about this. One is this, just on the surface, she's had a screwed up past or not necessarily screwed up. I mean, she does, but we find out in the 2nd issue, but she's had some, difficulties. Let's put it that way. Her mother has Alzheimer's.
Early onset.
Alzheimer's. Yeah. What is she? She is, so it says 15 years ago. So, she's what, 12, something like. I kind of take her as a 12-year-old in this flashback scene. So yeah, she has to deal with the fact that her mother sometimes doesn't remember her and how that's affecting her and her father. We'll get more into that. What was I saying? There were 2 things. Oh crap. There's that and I've lost it. Never mind. But yeah, she, like you said, she's out, there's this vendetta that she's come back to Gotham to collect upon. It turns out to be this guy, Hemsley, that we meet, who has a piece of art that is very disturbing to his bodyguard / lover. So Violet is after her. So she goes to where Hemsley is at this high society gathering, of which there's a couple in this book, in this issue. But I love, again, here's here's where I really appreciate the art, the storytelling part of the art, and it has to do with the colorist. She says she's after the bodyguard to get to Hemsley, and she's saying to herself, "Get him, get out, Cake, move, you piece of shit." And that goes into the next scene, which we'll get to. But there's this panel of her kind of looking down at her right arm, which we saw on page 1.
Somebody working on it.
Yes, her assistant, her Alfred, if you will, which we see in I think in issue 2. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, but yeah, something clearly there's some dialogue about her having gone through major surgery, and it's too soon for her to be doing anything, let alone traveling back to Gotham. Right. And so she's looking down, and this panel that's highlighting her I want to assume the arm that had surgery, whatever it is, it's in this orange shade. It's, I just really like that aspect. I'm not quite sure how to take that. Usually orange is, orange, red, those kinds of things that usually denotes anger, hatred or something. So if that's the case, I wonder, well, what does that surgery, whatever happened to her arm have to do with Hemsley? But then, like I said, she's telling herself, move. And then we get another flashback. I don't want to, Daddy. And you turn the page, and there's a hunting expedition that she's on with her father and this guy, Fred, a friend, I guess. And again, the art, I love, it's the thing where she doesn't want to kill the deer.
Right.
Doesn't want to shoot the deer. And Fred makes a disparaging comment about how she's like her mother. Her mother didn't also want to shoot the animals. And I love that third row panel where it's a close up of young Violet's face. The artist did a really good job on that.
Right.
Denoting the disgust, the disappointment about the situation. So I really liked it. It was very well done, and for such a real simple view, just a close up of a face, but really well done.
Yeah,
I know the rest of it is, again, it's really plot driven. She's trying to get to the bodyguard to get to Hemsley. The bodyguard has run because of what he's seen. This piece of art, which we haven't been told yet what that is, but it's enough to make this guy bolt, even though he has this relationship with this guy. Right. And then some guys show up to basically take out the bodyguard, and Violet shows up in her white gear, white in Gotham City. And then it rescues the guy. That's not the point. That's not the interesting thing about this scene. The interesting thing about this scene to me, Travis, is all these little inset panels with these, they're white and red.
Seemingly random things.
Seemingly. What is the pattern? Okay, let's describe one. So she shows up and throws this guy around. So obviously the suit that she's wearing, either it's the suit or maybe it's the surgery that was referred to where she is very strong. She obviously has some skill fighting. But the gloves that she wears, is like these oversized gloves that seem
they look like hockey gloves. They look like hockey goalie gloves is what they look like. Almost.
Okay, yeah.
Big, huge, bulky things. Yeah.
Yeah. Which you would think would be really difficult to grab onto things, but she's having no problem with that with the guys that she's battling. But the first thing that we see when she shows up is this white flower, a rose, but it looks like it. Do you take that as an eyeball in the middle of that?
Yes. Oh, definitely. An eyeball that looks to me like it's bleeding. A bit bloody.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next one is she jumps in to take on the rest of the guys, and then that graphic is a white rabbit sitting in a skull.
Yeah,
the skull's upside down.
The skull upside down, right? Missing the lower jaw, and the rabbit's perched in it. All of these are colored white with a red background, and so the inking, if you were, is all like really, really, really dark red, also kind of a thing. So but
another one. Well, there's one exception here, Travis. Maybe one is a birthday cake where the candles it looks like the candles have melted, or it could be evocative of blood.
Right.
Another is that a swan?
It's a swan. To me, I would say it's a swan. Just because of the black around the eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Hung upside down.
Hung upside down with all these arrows, and it actually reminds me of the end of that one Doom Patrol issue.
Right.
The way the arrows are depicted, I mean.
Right, because it's just simply the silhouette of an arrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom of that same page, there is a snake devouring a mouse or a rat.
Right. Got it half swallowed.
But then up at the top right corner, Travis, there's that tree.
You're right.
So that's a little different. Looks like lightning is hitting this tree.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so the coloring of it's got some purples and stuff.
It's a little different. But the fact remains that there are all these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these graphics that are just thrown in during the course of the action sequence of these pages. What do these things mean? How did you interpret these things?
I don't know if they're, because clearly this is all going on during combat. I don't know if this is her own, if she's getting flashes of some sort, if these are, her own visual cues of some sense, if she's been trained, brainwashed. I mean, comic books, especially anything that's remotely, verging on superhero comic books, the sky's the limit as far as kind of those kind of things. So I don't know if there are aspects of that, of something along those lines. There's her own personal inner demons. If these are just subliminals, just to give us other, things to question as far as violence, I hope they have some level of meaning to them. But I don't know at this point. I'm really curious though. I mean, to me, there's very striking images amongst this, great combat scene. I mean, like I said, that, visually the artwork is excellent of her just, kicking and stomping and throwing these guys all over the place. And then to have these moments of this, of this stuff. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, okay. At first I took them to mean to be representational of what is going on the page. So she first shows up and she's dressed in white. And so we get the white flower, but she's not just some delicate flower. She's, she kicks ass. So that, the bloody eyeball type thing is, I kind of, you take those two ideas together. It's like things are not what they seem with this character. Right. And then you get the white rabbit, which is typically, depicted as words, they escape me. A white rabbit is not a creature that is to be feared, but yet it's sitting in a skull. So, and maybe there's some either cultural or mythological significance to that. I did not look up. I just thought of that right now. But again, I took that to mean this again. She's more than what she seems. She's not just this lady who returned to Gotham, and obviously because she's dressed in this suit and kicking all these guys' butts. I'm not sure what the cake is, except that she was kicking a guy in the nethers at that moment, and I thought maybe that has something to do with that. I'm not sure about the swan because I would have expected to see her using some weapons at that point to maybe drive that point home. That they're the swan and she's gonna get you essentially. The lightning tree, I took that to mean she is she's fast, she's deadly like lightning, and again she's the snake eating the rats, except the rat is white, so that doesn't, and the snake is not, so that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, see, I don't know. For me, those images don't work in that sense. They have to have some other visual representation.
So I really like what you said, that maybe this is, some sort of representation of her training perhaps coming out. I don't know.
Yeah. Or her own
something else.
Her own psyche, because we get some implications that she was sent off to school and something happened there too. And I don't know. And then the other aspect is she has a mother who is still alive, who we'll find out later on in the book is not, with her Alzheimer's, she's not completely attached to, reality. And is this her own psychosis starting in?
Oh,
is she on her own limited clock? And this is,
good
her
point.
brain misfiring, and this is what she's getting out of it with the situation that she's in. That was the other thought that I had with
I like that one.
With mom's, clear psychosis that we'll get to later on in the book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's move on then. We got the point where she defeats the guys. She takes the bodyguard, and then Batman shows up.
Yeah.
And at which point I got that the first time, like, oh really? Do we really need Batman in the first issue, in the first half of the first issue of this book? Do we really need Batman in here? But nevertheless, here he is. But fortunately, it's only 3 panels,
right? And
we don't see him again for at least 2 issues, or for at least another issue. Although we do see Batwoman show up.
I just think that we're going to get glimpses of those other characters.
You don't think that they're going to intersect at some point?
At some point, I guess they will, because we've seen.
How Batman gets.
Well, and we've seen promo art anyway of like her and Gordon and Batman standing on top of, I'm assuming is the police station with the light going.
I hadn't seen.
Yeah. So, but I'm hoping that mostly it's going to just be, clearly they're all in the same town. You're going to run into it. I mean, you're going to, have that kind of, but she's blind to it. I mean, other than she knows she doesn't want to deal with the bat. I mean, she basically drops an F-bomb about the bat in that in one of those panels. And she punches the bodyguard out.
Yeah. She says, fuck the bat.
Right. So I like her. I just do. And don't get me wrong, I love Batman. So anybody who doesn't know, I'm a huge Batman fan. So, but.
And so she's flying back on this machine, this flying machine that she has. I'm like, what? So she has the suit. She has this flying machine. Right. She goes back to her house. Yeah. But it's like this huge place, and the bodyguard
mansion-y kind of thing. Yeah.
Bodyguard refers to it in issue 2 as a maze because he can't find his way out, and it's like, what is this? Where? How?
Gotham. It's got stuff all over.
I know, but her specifically, having been away and now she's back. There's this great scene between her and her mother in this little part of the house. It's full of.
Well, it's like a combo of. It seems to me that it's a combination of greenhouse mixed with carousel horses mixed with lawn ornaments, because it's got Bambi, Disney-esque Bambi in there and whatnot. It looks like fairyland. It looks like Alice in Wonderland.
It does, yes. I mean, well, and the plants, the flowers in the background look huge, and I don't know if that's intentional or.
I almost think that's representation. I think that's kind of like artist license kind of a thing.
I don't know.
It feels like, but I guess it could be. I don't. But yes, there's giant tulips back there and massive, and massive looking, bluebells and stuff like that. So you're right. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, my assumption is that most of that stuff was either fake, or it was an artist rendition of what was there.
I think you're right. I think it's fake stuff, but it's there for a reason.
Right. Well, yeah, it placates mom, who clearly is. Yeah. I mean, she seems to know who her daughter is. I don't know how much she understands what her daughter's up to at this point. But she's very casual about the fact that, she's walking in her suit with her helmet off, and she's got the bodyguard slung over her shoulder casually, like it's a bag of flour or something. Having a conversation about, flowers and things like that. And she seems to recognize her as her daughter, though, and that she's up to something. Yeah. Doesn't seem to care, though.
And then we get introduced to what I think is probably the real antagonist. It's not Hemsley. Yeah. But it's this...
the artist.
I think he refers to her as Gala. right? Yeah, Gala. I'm sorry to visit unannounced. And then he steps into what looks like the Spot's other dimension from Spider-Man or from Marvel Comics.
Marvel Comics, right?
Right? So here are all these black circles all around in this white space. And this character, the Gala, has this man strung up, and she's cutting him, and then the blood is dripping on a canvas. She's making art. Which, okay. I wondered if that was some sort of commentary or tie to, how you think about artists giving their life, giving their blood, so to speak, for their art. Only she's giving somebody else's blood for it. Anyway, so she tells Hemsley that her men will take care of the bodyguard.
Right.
So...
Because, he admits to screwing up. Because he had this romantic relationship with his bodyguard. He thought that he could share this piece of art and it would be okay. Clearly, he owns a piece of art that is gore also.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
Well, and we find out that it involves children.
Right. And so, clearly this woman, what'd you say her name was?
Gala.
Gala is, making fringe art that, clearly is... despicable kind of stuff. And so, she's going to make sure that she doesn't get exposed, because that's more important than anything else and that he's possibly made a bad choice in his choices of who to show the art to and whatnot. So they're taking care of the bodyguard won't be pleasant, clearly.
Yeah.
So
the issue ends with the bodyguard and Violet talking, and I like what he says to her. 2 flavors of costumes in this city: psychos who hurt and psychos who help. And they need help. It's kids, man. You got to care about that. And she says, I care about having more ammo.
Right. Exactly. Because she's not a superhero.
No.
She's not a superhero. F that, man. She's here because she has her own vendetta. She's here to destroy something, and that's what she's after.
Well, it's curious you say destroy, because on that page when the bodyguard says it's kids, man, that word balloon overlaps another panel next to it, and it's showing this mansion, and it looks like it's on fire. Now, I don't know if that's literal or if it's figurative fire. So I'm just like, what is this? Where are we going with this thing? And who I take that to be either. Well, it could be either one. It could be something relating to the art that he saw, or it has something to do with Violet.
Right.
And him saying it's kids triggers that in her.
Triggers that vision for her. That's another visual. Yeah, could be.
All right. So that's the setup of Mother Panic. So do you think that Mother Panic is that's her nom de plume?
I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of a weird name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because there's nothing about her that's motherly. I mean, I don't. So I don't know. I mean, why would you come up with? Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a curious question. How does that?
Which is why I've been referring to her as Violet, even when she's in her suit.
Because she's not named. She's just.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So issue 2, I really love the fact that, and I'm gonna have to put the explicit tag on these episodes when I release them, because I love the fact that she just says fuck whenever she wants.
Right.
It's refreshing to see that, although too much is too much at some point.
Sure.
But we get what's more important about the opening of this issue is there's another flashback scene with Hemsley. When she's younger, this is about the same time as what we were talking about before. When I think it's Hemsley. This is what confused me. So her dad was planning this camping trip. We had the flashback scene with the deer killing. That I thought was the same thing as this, because she references to her dad later on in the issue about when the issue ends about how was this why you planned this camping trip for this thing? And so, I mean, they reference, well, maybe Hemsley is Fred, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to look real quick. They don't look like the same character.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't have issue 2 sitting in front of me, but
no, it is.
It is?
It looks they look very similar on the page. It's kind of hard to tell by the way that Edwards is drawing. He's got a really
heavy shadows,
but lots of lines on the face, so it's kind of hard to do it. So maybe it's Fred Hemsley. So anyway, she overhears this conversation between who I assume is Hemsley and her dad. And Hemsley saying, 1 hour with her, that's all. Hardly anything in the scheme of things. Won't leave any marks, promise. And Dad says, but she's only all right, but I can't guarantee she'll keep quiet after. Well, we think, and so does Violet,
right?
That they're talking about her.
Right. They're going to sell her. Ugh.
Do something not right with her.
Right.
Yeah. Then there's another gala that she goes to, tracking Hemsley.
Yes, and check this one out though. It's
the Gotham Victims Fund. What does it say? Something. Oh, 2017 gala. Yeah, go ahead and describe this.
Yeah,
scene.
And so everybody is dressed up poorly. Not to the nines, not anything elaborate, but they're all dressed up like Gotham's worst psychopaths, basically. The Penguin and the Joker,
or victims of them.
Or they're the victims, right? That's how they're dressed as. I mean, it's a costume party of that sort. Yeah, which is just messed up.
No wonder she hates Gotham City.
I love it. The fact that it just adds to that whole. This place is just a pig hole, and why the hell would you romanticize this thing?
Yeah. I put in my notes, the very rich are just awful. How does Bruce Wayne put up with them?
Right. He's Batman all the time. That's how he does it.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't go to these things.
He refuses to go anymore.
Yeah, that scene is awful, but it's enjoyable from your comic appreciation standpoint.
Yes.
So she finds out that Hemsley's going to be somewhere to pick up a car. She's got time to kill, so she hooks up with this random guy at the party.
Right.
There's a conversation between the bodyguard and the mother, because the bodyguard somehow gets out of the room that Violet put him in.
Right, but he's been wandering the house supposedly because he can't find his way out
for hours, apparently.
And he thinks that she's trapped too.
Oh yeah, the mother, yes.
Right,
yeah.
Right. She's a victim also.
No, that's just my daughter. I think she says something like that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, she says, "Oh, that's just my daughter. She's been through a lot."
Yeah.
Would you like some tea? And that's where I mentioned before, Violet's Alfred. So there's like I said, the bodyguard and the mother are Dominic is his name. They're talking, and there's this great on that page. So he's talking, and the word balloon transforms from a more or less oval or a round shape to a jagged shape, because it goes from being in the scene with the two, Dominic and the mother, to this character that we saw at the very beginning of issue 1, the person whom I'm referring to as Violet's Alfred, and she's watching and listening to this. So I love that transition, the way the word balloon transitions. So, the great job from the letterer on that. And I'm sure we're going to get more. I really like the fact that we don't get a whole lot with this assistant or whomever she is. Sure. So far in these 2 issues, it just trickles of information that we're getting from some of these characters. Very well done. Then the next page is the aftermath of the hookup, and Violet's there naked, and she's got. Would you take those as scars everywhere on her body?
That's how I took it.
Yeah, because all over too.
Right.
And the guy's like, "Wow, and she says, "I don't care."
Right.
And then even worse,
the guy was clearly a piece of meat. That's
all he
was there for. He was an F toy, and that was it. Yeah.
a distraction for a few hours while she waited.
Right.
But then to circumvent any further...
Right. To make sure this guy does not call her or anything. Wow. Next level. Yeah. She basically cuts a few fingers and whatnot and leaves a bunch of bloody drawings all over the headboard and the wall, right?
With X's for eyes and frowny faces.
Right.
And the panel shows her walking out after having done that. And the guy is awake. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with the art, but I see his eye. You only see part of one eye, and the rest of his face is covered by the covers of the bed. And it looks like he's just freaked out.
Oh yeah.
And it's such a little detail, especially on this panel, because his eye is so small on there, but the way his body is drawn in the bed and everything is just very well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
she's clearly messed up.
Well, or she certainly doesn't care about humanity in general.
Everybody's scum. That's kind of the impression I get.
Except her mother and maybe her assistant. That's pretty much it. This is where Batwoman shows up because she sees Violet flying around in her little jet thingy, and Batwoman quips, "Who the hell wears white?"
Right.
And I complained earlier about Batman showing up in issue 1. I actually wouldn't have minded. I actually did not mind and would have preferred Batman not showing up at all. But we see this scene with Batwoman, and that's it between the two issues.
Sure.
It seems like out of all the Bat characters, Batwoman would be the logical team up situation between her and Violet.
Other than we all know Batman who wants to evaluate things for himself.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying in terms of the Bat characters to put together with Violet.
Batwoman didn't have a comic at the time, so it didn't make sense then.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
from a pure corporate comics sort of looking at it. Right?
Yeah, maybe. Sure. But I could just see those two characters coming up against each other. It makes a lot of sense in my mind, given both their backgrounds and what we know of Violet's background.
Oh, right.
That there would be a confrontation of some type. That might be interesting because of who both these characters are.
Right.
As opposed to just Batman showing up and going, "Get out of the city, stop doing it."
Right.
I sound more like the Penguin there, didn't I? Okay, so she ends up going up against Hemsley. Well, not going up against. She confronts Hemsley.
Right.
She's going to. She's there to kill him. Mm-hmm. She intends to kill this guy, but first she finds out from him where the children are. She demands to know where the children are. He gives her the address, and then we get another one of those. Right. Another one of those. Pictographs is what I'm kind of thinking of. But it's what would you say that it's a bird, but what is that? What kind of bird is that?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, so
okay.
I don't have that issue.
I don't know. Albatross, maybe? Is it? Yeah. Are they going for the Rime of the Ancient Mariner reference? I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Yeah.
But so, like I said, she's out. She's going to kill him. She says, "Not dead yet." After she demolishes the car with him in it, and it looks like he's passed out. And she says, "Easy fix." And then we get the next panel is the deer in the scope image that we got from issue 1, and she just starts saying "fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck," and she can't do it.
Right. She can't pull the trigger.
Yeah, she can't pull the trigger. And then there's another. There's the bleeding strawberry as she's attacking Hemsley in the car, and then as she realizes that she can't kill this guy, there's this panel of it's a like a briefcase type thing that looks like these ornamental necklaces. It's really weird. I don't know. I really don't know what to make of that one.
Oh, wish I had the issue in front of me. Yeah, I don't know.
It's bizarre. Anyway, she leaves him alive, and he wakes up and realizes that she's trashed his entire garage full of his cars.
Right.
All toast.
Right.
She's taking.
He looks like he's in a junkyard. When I first saw that panel, I went, "How did she move the entire car to a junkyard?" Before I had to really think that through. I was like, "Wow," you know.
And before we get to the ending of this issue, on the back of one of the cars, it's scrawled like where the license plate would be. Mm-hmm. It says, "Mother, may I have some more?"
Right.
And it looks, I took that to mean that she scrawled that on there. And so I immediately went to Google to figure out, what is this a reference to, if it is a reference to anything. And let's see. The only thing I found, Travis, was that was the slogan for Kellogg's cornflakes at one point. It was an ad campaign that they did.
Wow. I don't know.
So I can't imagine that's what that is referencing. So
neither can I.
That's got to be something else having to do with with her past that we haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
Bizarre, but it's a nice little twisted added element that just makes me want to know more. And then we get to, we totally skipped over this. In issue 1, when she first arrived in Gotham, she went to that first gala and was confronted by a reporter wanting to ask her about her father, what happened with her father, if she's willing to talk about it. And she assaults the guy. Mm-hmm. Well, we find out at the end of this issue what happened to her father. She confronts him. Remember, we were talking before about the conversation she overheard.
Where she thought she was going to be, right.
Yeah. So she confronts her father about this, and she has the rifle in her hand.
Yeah, the hunting rifle.
Yeah. Don't lie to me. I heard you. And Dad's trying to calm her down. I'm not lying to you. You're my daughter. I love you more than anything. Everything I'm doing is to build your future. And she warns him, stay back. And he reaches for her saying, I can never hurt you, Vi, I promise. I was talking about your mother. And then bang. Or blam, I guess is what the actual sound effect. Yeah. She shoots her dad and says, why couldn't I kill him? Referring to Hemsley. It's what I was built to do.
Mm-hmm. And we do know that she was sent off to some sort of special boarding school, was implied, like in the first issue, I think, also. So there's all this kind of, that's what kind of keeps making me think that the images we're seeing are somehow, some sort of
related to that.
Right. Yeah. Right. In some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's kind of like the first issue of Shade, where I got to the end of that issue and went, wow. Mm. The second issue for this title is what did it. It's like, holy crap.
Right.
So yeah, I went from not caring so much about this book, and I have to admit some of it had to do with the art. I saw the cover art and I'm like, that style of art I don't particularly care for. But after having read it now and getting into the story, I really, really like this book. And it's probably my if I had to rank them, obviously Shade. Mm. I don't know, Doom Patrol or Mother Panic. I don't know yet, Travis. They're both kind of the same for me right now. Maybe Doom Patrol a little bit more now.
That's just because you're on a podcast with me.
I'm trying to be nice to my guest. Yeah.
Yes.
No. And then Cave Carson.
Right. But. Yeah. Yeah. I really like this book too. I think it's really intriguing. Like I said, for me, super excited just because she has a different look on Gotham than every other Gotham person that walks into Gotham. I was super, like I said earlier, super stoked about that. I love these interesting elements. I love those little weird visual things. Not knowing what they are right now doesn't bother me. I don't think it's like the other the other books where it's some weird thing that we're never going to be told what it is. I think we're going to get those aspects. I personally love the art. I think it's gorgeous. I mean, they can go from being really raw and really, gritty when they're in the alley and she's smashing stuff around and whatnot. And then that background whimsy at her, when where the mom hangs out at and stuff, just how, perfect amount of art, I think, there to give us this kind of visually stimulating that she lives in this kind of, fantasy land, that's been created for her in this spot, without having to draw every damn detail that's there and whatnot. And clearly the colors are, definitely a strong point too. One of the things that floors me about this, and this is, I mean, I guess good writers or whatever, or you can tell lots of different types of stories. Jody Houser, I read the Valiant Faith ongoing book.
Oh, okay.
And she writes that. And they are, I mean, this book is so polar opposite of that. That book is so basically light and refreshing. And it's, I mean, bad stuff happens in it because there are bad guys, but it's such a positive vibe. I mean, everything about that book is, let's be positive. This is a positive way to do that and positive way to do that. And this book is so, pulled through the knothole, ugly, gross side of Gotham. It's just really interesting to get these two things out of the same writer, because they are, like I said, this character is so different than anything that Faith would be, kind of a stuff. And I just find that really intriguing that she's writing these two things. It must be fun for her to have this one book where she could, like I said, just, super positive and uplifting, and then have this book where she could just, drop F-bombs and just be, the gritty, gross, there's an artist that clearly is murdering people to create art and whatever else is going on and stuff. So yeah, fun stuff.
I did have the thought too, similar to Cave Carson, where she has a very specific goal in mind, mm-hmm. and even though she's decided that she can't do it as she originally intended, and now mm-hmm. she's caught up in,
there's somebody worse. She's figured out. She gets the Hemsley right, and it's like, oh, there's this other person, and it's kind of her going, I'm not one of them. I'm not a superhero, but I'm gonna get this person said.
Yeah.
How far does that drag on before she admits that she's a superhero? I don't know.
Well, which could, fundamentally change this book to some. I don't want it to become another Batman book.
Oh yeah, definitely. Same here.
And that's.
But I don't care if it's limited. I mean, I'm happy with them not telling me it's limited. They can tell however long it's going to take to tell the story they want to tell. They tell that, and then they go, we're done with that. We're going to move on to something else. Cool.
Yeah.
If that's what it is.
Yeah. For sure. I would prefer that over
just drag it out.
Watering the concept down to fit within.
Right. So
else.
Literally is just another bad book. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Do you want to talk about the backup in this?
It's okay. I mean, I don't know that it's. I mean, so a radio personality who's like the voice of Gotham gets murdered on air, and of course that's shaken everybody to the core because this personality has been murdered on air.
But the interesting thing about that is that this is during Thanksgiving time, and so he's talking about giving thanks and what he's grateful for, and he's building up to this 2 pages of building up to what he's thankful for. And he says, what I'm grateful for is the Batman. And that's when he gets murdered.
Right.
And then there's a couple of panels of just silence, because the guy's dead, radio silence. And then you get to see the hooded killer holding the smoking gun. And he says, Thanksgiving. And that's how that part ends. And then the second part is the radio the talk show guy, his audio assistant or producer or what, I can't remember. Anyway, mm-hmm. it's Debbie,
is being grilled because
Debbie
she
Stoner.
Wasn't. Yeah. Right. Because she wasn't there when he.
there. Yeah. So she's a suspect, but then she's also tasked by her boss at the radio station to recruit this other guy who's horrible. He's a horrible.
Right.
He's got horrible views about things. But he's the next voice of that slot. So she's got to go do that. I'm like, what? What? Why are we reading this?
I mean, I'm happy for the Phil Hester art because I'm a fan of Phil Hester.
That is nice.
So that's but yeah, I don't. I mean, that's here nor there. Those pages, that backstory, I read it. It's like fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is that so? All the other backups that we've talked about, at least there's something interesting, whether it's visual or from a narrative standpoint. There's something interesting about it, something different. This just seems more like something you would read as a backup in a Batman book, and that's what I don't like.
You know what? I almost feel like that Way wanted to do a Batman book. And he created this character, created this idea, and he was going to do it with, maybe he originally was going to do it with Jody Hauser or whatever. And you know what? I've seen him on Twitter multiple times and on interviews say, wow, you know what? Making comics is really, really hard. It's way harder than writing music and being a rock and roll star. And I'm just wondering if he created this and then went, yeah, I don't got time for this, plus Shade, plus, or Cape Carson, plus Doom Patrol. I you know what I mean? And I don't fault the guy. I'm just saying, I wonder if he went, whoa, this is way more work than what I envisioned. And so just letting it go, here's the idea and letting the people on it run with it.
Yeah.
Because it does. You're right. That's why I wonder. I almost wonder if it's his take on a Bat book. He wanted to do a Bat book. Sure, we'll let you, you're a pop star. We'll let you do whatever you want to do, kind of, to some degree. Plus the fact, I don't think they ever shy away from anything that's attached to Batman or Gotham.
No.
Batman in quotes. So DC's always going to take a risk on a quote unquote Bat book, A
new Bat book, yeah.
Sure. So that's kind of my feeling, gut feeling on it. I'm not disappointed. I like the book. I'm, really happy with it. These first two issues anyway. So.
Okay. So, do you think that this book, meets with the promise that Gerard Way set out for the Young Animal stuff?
I don't know, because the whole with heart and stuff like that, because this book is, it's a different kind of dark and diabolical. Not that awful stuff isn't happening in some of those other books and whatnot, but this is that gritty,
more visceral, has a more visceral quality. A bit darker. Violet Page to me is the darker flip side to Bruce Wayne. The celebutante who comes back after some time, becomes a costume vigilante, but she's a much, Batman's pretty dark as it is, but he also has family,
right,
to build him up. He's got Alfred and the Robins and all that stuff.
Well, and just whatever. I think he's got hope too somewhere in there.
Yes, that's true.
She doesn't.
Yeah, she's definitely
she's already written it all off.
Yes.
It's clearly, she's wading through, the mire to get what she wants out of it and done. Yeah. I think it does though. It's just, like I said, that whole thing from Wade makes it all sound warm and fuzzy and whatnot. And clearly this is not the warm and fuzzy part of that, but I still think it hits it. It's got weird elements in it. Those visual things, if nothing else, those things give it the weird. If you took those off the page, it's not so weird.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true. There's a lot riding on those insets.
It's questionable. Do you consider that Galia, that artist, do you consider her weird, her type of art? I don't, because I've either conceptually I've seen that part of the concept done other places. I play computer games that have that element in it.
To say Zaz as a character is somewhat similar.
Kind of. David Bowie put out an album in the 90s called Outsider, which is a whole concept album based around a character who does art crime. So, it's all there. Those things are other places, so it's not like that. To me, that's not weird. Mm-hmm. It's not normal. It's not normal.
It's also not weird for Gotham.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's not kooky weird. But I don't know. I still think it does. I still think it meets those things.
Well, like I said, in regards to Shade, he says, following the spirit of those books from the past, but bring them somewhere else. I think he's accomplishing that with Mother Panic. Maybe not as much as some of the other books, but we still enjoyed it. We really like this book.
Right. Well, the difference is, to the best of my knowledge, this character is non-existent before this, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
all the other characters are mining prior stuff.
Oh, geez. Now I want to look this up, Travis.
All the other books are mining prior content. And I don't.
That's true.
Don't know that this one is. And if it is, it's in name only, right? I mean,
that's what I'm looking up right now.
As we're all, how good is our Google food?
I didn't even think about that, Travis, before. So I think she's original. I don't think she's appeared anywhere else. Yeah, according to the DC Wikia page, her first appearance is Mother Panic #1. So maybe she's based on some other character, or more importantly, she's a new character and that's it. So there you go.
Yeah, so that's the difference. I mean, that's the other difference between this book and the other ones. Is the fact is those other ones are taking the old and and doing something different with it. This one isn't, other than the Batverse. It's not. Yeah, taking anything. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, one last thing. I had a stray thought as I was rereading issue #2 and taking notes. I thought, because I remember I asked you, is Mother Panic her superhero name?
Right.
Right. What if Mother Panic is her mother?
See, that's what I wondered too. I have no idea. I mean,
and if that's the case, what does that mean? Why name the book that way? What's going to happen? I know we're only 2 issues in, but
right. Well, that's cool though. I mean, for me, I'm excited. The fact I'm enjoying what's there. I've gotten enough information to be enjoying but there's lots of questions. That whole Alfred character. What is that Alfred character? I mean, are they the real driving force? How much is she in control of what she's up to versus who set something else in motion for her?
Ah, good point.
I mean, there's a lot of other surprises I think we could see, down the road of this book. So
yeah,
looking forward to it.
Okay, so Travis, when we first got together to talk, I put out on Twitter that we were talking about Young Animal, and I asked people if they had any questions for us. Mm-hmm. I got a few responses here, so I thought I'd get your take on these.
Sure.
So Johnny D asks us, which classic DC titles would you like to see under the Young Animals banner in the future? That is, for example, Wild Dog, Outcasts, Sonic Disruptors, Hawk and Dove.
Some strange ones out.
DN Agents, which is that's not a DC book though.
Yes, no.
He says, let's hear it, boys. So what should get the Young Animal treatment, do you think?
I don't know. It would have to be something obscure. I mean, at least it feels to me like, because most of this stuff has been, we're taking kind of a, clearly Doom Patrol is the most popular of all of those, stuff that they're using so far. And they're kind of using obscure kind of things and doing something different with them. Boy, I don't know
I wouldn't do Hawk and Dove. That does not seem like a good fit. Wild Dog, maybe that could work, I guess. I mean, he's obviously in Cave Carson, so
right.
Yeah.
For me, that's just it. I'd want it to be something really obscure, like give me a Dr. Occult book or something just really kind of off the wall.
Yeah,
that you could do something strange with, or that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know, because some of the characters are kind of still bopping around in the DC universe proper. Not that this isn't part of the DC universe, because I've been told it kind of is, but isn't at the same time. So I'm not sure, how that's all going to meld together. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if I feel the need for them to like grab a hold of some other Vertigo property.
Exactly. You can. I mean, there's Black Orchid, Kid Eternity.
Right.
What?
I mean,
do we need?
Kid Eternity would be cool. Kid Eternity would be a cool.
Okay.
I think so. But I don't know.
There was a miniseries put out. I don't think it was under the Vertigo banner. I think it was before Vertigo, called Shadows Fall. Do you remember that, Travis? I don't know that you got that one.
No, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Anyway, that was a story that I really, really liked. I can't remember who it was by now. I'll have to look it up as I'm talking, but that would be something that would be obscure that could be built up into something under this banner.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. I put in Shadows Fall in Google, and the first thing that comes up is an American heavy metal band from Massachusetts. So, boy, that's a great question, John. I don't know what would John say?
Yeah, because I mean, for me, it's as much as because there's just a ton of characters you could do something with. It's kind of also who would be doing it.
That's true. Who would you get to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I pick perfect. I mean, great people are doing work on this stuff. People that some of these people I don't know. I mean, the person who's doing Shade the Changing Girl, for instance, who has some attachment to Star Wars. Have they done other stuff? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's some good stuff. And there's, I don't know. It feels to me like you could name off a ton of really kind of weird, odd little characters that.
Prez, but that I don't know. We're just regurgitating titles that have been part of. Right. What would be? Before I ask this question, I was wrong. Shadows Fall was under the Vertigo imprint, and it was
94-95.
It was 94-95. Yeah. Done by John Nay Reber and John Van Fleet, which it was great. It was a great miniseries. Anyway, what non-Vertigo, like a Silver Age or even Bronze Age character would we want to do under Young Animal? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's just so many. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. Maybe come back to this some other time. Yeah. Great question, though. I'd be really interested to hear what other people think about that. And then, also on Twitter, I got a response from Sergeant America, who said Hawk and Dove would be a blast. So, hey, I'm not going to turn down any Hawk and Dove.
I was going to say, I was shocked to hear you say no, that shouldn't be one. Cause,
well, no, not that it shouldn't, but I just don't see it working under Young Animal. But I don't care. If what it takes is for Gerard Way to say, hey, I want to do a Hawk and Dove series, I will be behind that 450 million thousand 100%, whatever.
even if they create completely new Hawks and Doves.
Well then.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
I would try it, Travis. I'm always open to Hawk and Dove interpretation. Okay, so Sergeant America also asked, are there themes or tropes that need to be avoided to call a book Young Animals? What could spoil this attempt to make a book a young animal book?
Well, the thing I think would spoil the Young Animal stuff, because right now I'm excited by the 4 books that are out. If they just decide to start cranking stuff out and slap in a Young Animals imprint on it for the sake of it being Young Animals.
Well, but it worked pretty well for Vertigo.
Yes and no. If we honestly go back and look at the stuff that came out under the Vertigo, there was some stuff that there's a reason it only made it 5 or 6. Well, that's what I'm saying is. But that's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that I could see hurting it is that. Because with the current comic market the way it is and other companies that are out there that provide some of the same stuff that the Young Animals is providing, I don't know how far you can push that as far as that. That's the only thing I could see. That's really the only thing I could see that would reckon. I don't think there is, as long as they stick to some degree to that mission statement, whether it's officially a mission statement or not, that Wade said about the books, we want to do this, that Eric has read off a couple times now. If they stick to that, I think they're going to be, they'd be successful with whatever they choose to put out. As long as they're going to, stick to that kind of a love of what they're doing and stuff, I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything they could do a Superman one as far as I'm concerned, and it wouldn't, as long as it sticks to that kind of mission statement, I think that would even be fine. It's not like there's something, if they did it would wreck the Young Animals, because because it feels to me like they've kind of, the books they have now have stuck to that fairly closely. So I guess that's my take on it. I don't think there's anything that's going to break it.
Well, how about this?
Abuse it.
I just thought of this. How about if they did a Vertigo-like / Young Animal take on the Legion?
I'd read it. But isn't that called Black Hammer? Anyway.
Oh, come on. No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's Justice League, not Legion.
Okay. Well, no, I'm fine. You're right. I'm fine. I would read it.
Yeah.
But like I said, you could take any of the DC universe, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to apply that to it, I'm excited to read those kinds of books because that kind of weird, a little bit weird, whatever, that's my wheelhouse of what I love personally to read anyway. So I don't get tired of that. That's why I read issue number 1 of Doom Patrol. And like I said, it didn't have to say Doom Patrol on it. It could have, been titled whatever it wanted to. And I would have been tickled by it because it was weird. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm not the person to ask of that because I'm happy with weird books. I'm happy with books. I read it and I go, what the hell was that? As long as it's delivered to me in a good way, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, for sure. What if Young Animal is so successful that it basically supplants Vertigo for DC?
It hasn't already?
Ooh.
Well, I was thinking about it today because I just found out that some more of the Vertigo books have been canceled.
Oh.
They'll be, and so I'm trying to think in my head how many, I'm trying to count the Vertigo books, and there aren't a whole lot. They're almost down to 4.
Really?
I think so.
Huh.
Unfollow is going to be done very soon now, is my understanding. It's not going on more. So you got like Lucifer. You've got Frostbite, which is a miniseries. It's done in an issue or 2. Forever After. So Forever After and Lucifer are the only ongoing.
Wow.
No, I guess Astro City is considered Vertigo too, right? So there's 3 ongoings and what? And some miniseries. I think I might be missing something, but I believe I take the bundle from Discount Comic Book Service, so I just get everything that's Vertigo. I think that's it. So I don't hear people talking about Vertigo books. I hear people talking about the Young Animal books.
Yeah. Well,
that may just because they're new. They're all number 1s, number 2s, number 3s. Everybody talks about those. Nobody talks about a book that's, 14, 15 issues in. Mm-hmm. So that may be part of it too. I don't know. I wondered about that the second this imprint was announced. As announced as being its own imprint instead of being part of Vertigo. That was my immediate response was as well. They're clearly throwing Vertigo under the bus. And then when they basically said, Shelley Bond, we don't need you anymore, then it really hit home that they're basically, throwing Vertigo out in the trash. The only reason they're hanging on to it is because of the what it was. To me, it feels like that's why they're still hanging on to it, is because of what it was. Because everybody who is creating comics now was a youngin' back in the day and read those books as young people and went, oh my gosh, this is the thing. This was the creative thing at the time. I don't know what's killed. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's killed it. There are better creator-owned contracts other places, possibly.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with it.
I mean, there's a number of different things there, kind of a thing. Now it's become kind of an imprint for I've signed you exclusive. If you want to put out new content, put it out under Vertigo. It feels to me like I don't know, but I don't know. Doesn't it feel like it's going away? And
it sure feels it does feel that way.
And we keep talking about how this feels like an old Vertigo book. This feels like an old Vertigo. So I don't know.
So yeah, that brings up a good point, because that's one of the things that I was leery about to begin with Young Animal, was that they were trying to tap into that basically the sense of nostalgia, and take things hopefully in different directions, which I think they've succeeded to some degree. But I guess just, I don't know, why not just create something new and not try to tap into that nostalgia? But I know the answer to that question already is because nostalgia sells to a certain degree, right? We're buying them. We're talking about them. We are the audience that started with Vertigo. So
right. So, but the question is then, do these books work if you have zero experience with Vertigo?
Right. That's a very good question. So I'm curious for those people out there that are in that situation. What's the reaction to this? Obviously, they're taking these books at face value, and wondering, like I did with Doom Patrol to some degree, right?
Right.
Well, obviously this is a reference to something or an homage to something, and or just has a connection to the past, but I don't know. I don't have the context for it. As long as they don't overdo that, or do it in a way that's not dependent upon directly the past, then I guess it doesn't really matter.
Well, like in the Doom Patrol, that whole comic book montage thing that was there. How bad does that fail if you don't have that DC history? I don't know, so
yeah.
I like the books. They work for me. I can't answer to anybody else. I can kind of look at all the books through the eyes of somebody who hasn't read any of that stuff. I think Shade the Changing Girl is the strongest of all of them because it's not reliant on winking and nodding back to older stuff as much as what Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol really is a wink and a nod to the old while expressing itself in its own way.
Yeah.
So I think probably I would guess you get more enjoyment out of it. Being somebody like me who's read some of that stuff and knows some of that stuff. Cave Carson, other than knowing the names, I'm going into that blind. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And clearly Mother Panic, we're going into it. Other than clearly we're familiar with the quote unquote Batman universe. We're running blind on it too. So I think those all work.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I was going to ask you one more question, but it's not really relevant to our discussion about Young Animals. So, maybe we'll have a different discussion about other DC imprints, the possibility of other DC imprints.
Okay.
Or not.
Cool.
I don't know. Anyway, so Travis, as always, this has been super, super duper fun talking comics with you. Especially this kind of stuff, because you and I both have that history with Vertigo,
right? And
have read, or at least know of some of these properties. So it was nice to touch on that with you and get your perspective on these books. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure, glad to be here.
And I want to thank Johnny D and Sergeant America for their feedback on Twitter. I really appreciate that. And if people would like to tell me and Travis what you think about Young Animal books, you could always do that by leaving comments at longboxreview.com. You can email me at longboxreview@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter too at longboxreview. Those are all good. If you'd rather talk to Travis, as most people do, Travis, how can they get a hold of you?
You can contact me through YouTube. My channel is Oddfellows Thoughts, all one word, or on Twitter, the more complicated way. You can find me at _Gaunt_man, or I think you could type in Oddfellows Thoughts into the search thing up there as a person, and I think I pop up that way.
I think so too. But I will include links to these locations for people to get a hold of Travis if they'd like. But you should also definitely check out Travis's YouTube channel. He has some very interesting thoughts on comics, and you do pretty much a weekly show about the comics you get every week, right? Yeah, I mean it's the holidays, so we've been taking the holidays off, but yeah. Yep. But you talk about the titles that you get every week, and whatever current comes up. Yep. And then you also host a usually weekly roundtable discussion about comics with a bunch of different people. So people should check that out. And that's it. Young Animal. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed. Like I said, I reread these books to prepare for our talk, Travis, and I got a lot more out of them. So I guess the moral of the story is, not just read comics, folks, but read them again. Yes. Anyway, thank you again, Travis. And everybody, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.